Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The Dharma, infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million kalpas. Now we are able to hear, study, and follow it. May we fully realize the Tathagata's true meaning. Previously, we looked at the text, the part of the text that Shifu calls Know the World. Begin with, all dharmas are empty in character, neither arising nor ceasing, neither impure nor pure, neither increasing nor decreasing. So these three lines basically describe the nature of emptiness, the emptiness of dharmas. And we have also explained why, at the same time, a dharma, a phenomena, an object, a person, at the same time, a dharma is impermanent and arises and perishes. But at the same time, it neither arises nor cease. So this seem like contradictory descriptions actually are not contradictory. So we should be pretty clear about this from the previous two talks. Now let us continue to look at the next part. Therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, there is no feeling, conception, volition, or consciousness. And what follows are several lists of items that are all empty. So the previous lines describe the general character of what it means to say that dharmas are empty. And the next several lines, all these different lists of specific things, specific dharmas, are all empty. They are the specific examples that we should contemplate on, using the principles we have just described. Why each of these specific dharma, specific phenomena or thing is empty. So this is the general principle and specific instances that Shifu had talked about before. The specific instances help us understand better and ground these abstract concepts and help us relate those concepts, those teaching to life, to our everyday life, to reality. So, therefore, in emptiness, there's no form, feeling, conception, volition, or consciousness. Now, it so happens that we have already talked about in detail the emptiness of form, and form is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Right? So already talked about that relationship with all of the five skandhas that is in the Heart Sutra outline, section 6 and section 7. If you don't remember what was being said, you'll be good to go back and review those talks. Now here, let us clarify a crucial concept. When we say a dharma is empty, what is it empty of? It's empty of something. A Dharma is empty of a fixed internal, intrinsic identity. And the term in Buddhism is self. All dharmas are empty of a self. So, take the example of apple. When we say an apple is without a self, a car is without a self. Money is empty. Money is empty of a self. I, Jianhu Shifu, or you, are empty of a self. What does that mean? Apple. When we see an apple, when we think of an apple, what do we think about? What kind of conception, mental construct do we have in our mind? Yeah? That is the self. So when we come to know apple, what we actually have done is to construct an idea of what an apple is. And we identify that idea, that mental idea, that internal idea with this object, this Dharma, apple. And so that is the self of the apple, or the internal identity we have of an apple. Some people love apples. Some people don't really care about apples. That means these two persons have formed different mental construct, different conception of an apple. Their idea of what apple is, whether it is delicious or so-so, that identity of an apple that they associate with is technically what we call the self of an apple. Okay? Now we make the mistake when we think of an apple. We use our mental construct, the apple self, as the real apple. So for example, two friends may argue with each other. Apples are delicious. And the other one says, no, it's not delicious. It's often sour. I don't like it. They can argue about this. But their argument will be pointless, because what they are arguing is not about the apple itself, not the reality of the apple, but their mental construct, what they think of an apple. That is the self in the apple. Now, everybody forms a different self or identity associated with a thing. And so often we argue about a thing when we are actually arguing about our different perception or conception of that thing. For example, man and woman are together. So one asks the other, do you love me? And the other one says, yes, I love you. And the first one says, no, I don't think you love me. The second one says, yes, I do love you. So they can argue, because one says that he loves her, and she says, I don't feel loved. I don't feel you love me. So what is going on here? Love is an abstract concept, it's a conception. Now, based on the woman's background and the man's background, they have come to form an idea of what love is and what it means to say, I love you. Right? So, when they think about love, they have given an identity to what is love, what is romantic love. That is the self of love. Now, each person's internal identity of a complicated concept like love is different. So they can argue without intersection. Do you see that? So the same goes with non-physical things, right? Like love or certain feelings or constructs like reputation. The self of a reputation is what you think reputation is. What you think my reputation, we say my reputation is being ruined, or I want to have a good reputation. You have an idea what reputation is. You have an idea about how to get that reputation. You have an idea what it means to have a good reputation, or what it means to say my reputation is ruined. So you have formed an identity, internal identity, a self of the reputation, and you think that's real. So for example, once in a while we'll hear some internet, somebody who's really popular on social media, and then for whatever reason that person gets attacked and there's massive cyberbullying on that person, and that person couldn't take it and commits suicide. We have heard cases like that. What is happening here? What's happening is the self. Who am I as represented by this, my identity on the social media? I would like to be seen in a certain way. I would like to be popular. I would like people to like me. And I love it when so many people subscribe to my channel. But then something goes wrong. Somebody starts something. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe it's a conscious attack. So whatever reason, whatever happens, it goes viral. And a lot of people start to attack this person. Actually attack the social media identity of that person. The social media self. Now the social media self is not a real thing, it's empty. But when that person associated social media identity with the real person, then that person take all those attacks as real. They are attacking me. They're not able to separate the social media identity with the real person. No matter how people attack the identity, they can't really actually, they're not really directly attacking you, right? But when we don't know the difference between the self that we have created, that we have associated with the thing, with the person, with myself, then we get into trouble. We become sensitive, and we worry, and we hate it. We fear when we are attacked, when people don't like us, when people unsubscribe. Yeah? So that is another example how this idea of a self, whether it's of yourself or an object or whatever concept, when we don't know the difference, then we suffer unnecessarily. So think about the difference between the identity, the idea you have formed about something, including a person or an animal. Yeah? When you see a chicken, when you see a pig, when you see a cockroach, when you see a snake, when you see a panda, when you see a dove, when you see a Canadian goose, when you see these different kinds of animal, you have formed an internal self of the animal that you associate with. But how real is that? is conditioned by so many factors, right? Maybe the cultural thinking, maybe your friends who think of these animals in a certain way, the way you're raised, what you read about, or portrayed in media. You have come to form an idea about what a chicken is about, what a pig is about, what a cow is about. Yeah? When we see a cow, oh, beef, steak. When you see a pig, pork chop. That is a self, an internal identity you have come to associate with that animal, which can be very far from reality. When we see a cockroach or a snake or a rat in a certain way, ew, I don't like it. I hate it. Why do these animals have to exist? We are not in touch with the reality of the animal. We are in touch with the internal identification we have constructed of the animal. That's the self. And that self is an illusion. That self is empty. Okay? So, when we see a person, we try to understand the reality of a person. We say, no self. That means whatever mental construct you have created and you associate with this person is not the reality. It is a mental construct. That's self. And so one way to help us see that is to see objectively what a person is comprised of: form, feeling, conception, volition, and consciousness. Each moment we live, it is an interaction, interdependent working of the physical body, the different parts of the physical body, with our feelings, with our ideas, with our will, volition, and our other forms of discrimination or discernment that we come to form based on our years and years of living in this world. That is what we do each moment. Yeah? So that is the emptiness of form, feeling, conception, volition, consciousness, the emptiness of a person. We're not denying anything. We're just trying to help us see the difference between our mental construct versus what is the reality. And we can become so biased about a person or a group of person or a race of person or the citizens of a country. We can become so biased about whole groups of people. We don't realize how different it is from reality. And that's how humans have come to suppress or kill, violently offend, bully other groups of people. Because what we see, we form a certain self about that person, about that group of people. That is not reality. So, when we understand the emptiness of all dharmas, our mind is opened up and we are more in touch with reality. And then we begin to see the what we share together as human beings, regardless of race and skin color and thinking and education and where we come from. We begin to see more the things that we share together, the feelings, the suffering, the pain, the sadness, the happiness, the joy, the peace. So why is emptiness liberating? It liberates us from the confinement that we have created by our own mental constructs. So when we say, who am I? Perhaps the better question is, who are you not? Here's a story. There's a famous novel in Chinese called The Monkey King. It's about the story of a Buddhist monk, a Buddhist master, Xuanzang, who traveled to India to get the holy scriptures, the Buddhist scriptures, and bring it back to China. Now, this is actually a real person, a real story. But then in the novel, it was fantasized. So it turned out that the monk needed a lot of help, because along the path from China to India, which to the Chinese was like the edge of heaven, it's so far away, the edge of the world, almost. It's a very treacherous journey, and he needed a lot of help. So he got help from a monkey, Monkey King, which is very powerful, fighting and everything. He got help from a pig. He got help from a monster of the river, a river monster. Okay, so these creatures help the master go along. So Monkey King, he's very, very good. He's very powerful. So he's always protecting the monk, which has no fighting power. And all the monsters along the way, they want to eat the monk. They think that eating the monk, because he was so pure, they will be able to live for thousands of years. So that would be a great thing. So he's always being attacked by monsters. Now, at one point, there's a story where this monster pretended to be an old woman needing help to earn the sympathy of the master, the Buddhist monk, Xuanzang. And so the Monkey King told the master, no, she's a monster. She's not a poor old woman. And the master wouldn't believe it. But then the Monkey King need to go away for a while to look for something. So he's afraid that the monster will harm the master. So he told the master, please sit here in this chair. And he used his metal stick, is a powerful stick, draw an invisible line around the master. And he said, Master, whatever you do, don't step out of that circle. So here's the circle. You draw. Actually, it's not that invisible. It's probably made a mark on the ground. So here is a circle. Don't step out of that circle, and no monster will be able to harm you, because it's power. Now, even though the poor old woman is there, no matter what you do, don't leave the circle, and the monster won't be able to harm you. Now, so the Monkey King left. And of course, when you have a story like that, you know what's going to happen. So the poor woman, I said, "Oh, I'm so hungry. I'm suffering. Can you help me? Can you take a look?" So the master was very compassionate. So he thought it was kind of silly that he had to stay within the circle. So he walked out. And of course, the monster grabbed him. The woman, the monster pretended to be the woman, grabbed him and took him to her cave, and was gonna tie him up and give him a bath and eat him up, have a big feast. So the Monkey King came back. Shifu was gone, and he has to go find her. So that's a story that goes on. So why did I tell this story? The master thought, what's the point of staying inside the circle? Even though when I stay in the circle, I will be protected. But he always decided to leave. This happened at least 2-3 times. He always decided to leave and get into trouble. Now, is it better that we stay inside the circle? and be fully protected. And no harm will come to us. So sometimes we would like that. We would like somebody to protect us. Or maybe parents want to protect their children. Never go outside this safety net. When you do, you'll get into trouble. Yeah? So we are trapped inside this invisible circle, or what we think is safety net. So yeah, maybe we are protected, but then also we are trapped. Now, when we step outside that safe box, we can get into trouble. We could get hurt. We could run into all kinds of obstacles and challenges. But then, as it turned out, as the story goes, is that after that countless challenges, both for the Monkey King and for the Xuanzang, the master, is through that journey that eventually they achieve their goal. The goal is representative of achieving Buddhahood. So, while we like to have a comfortable, safe, fixed idea of who I am, what I am, and it's comforting and it's protective, but then we are still run into all kinds of trouble, and it doesn't really help us grow. So when we break through those ideas, those comfortable ideas of who I am and who you are and who he is and who she is, we are in unknown territory, and it could be scary. But if we are brave and then keep an open mind and then learn, then we will gain insights that we otherwise will not be able to gain about the reality of who he is, who she is, what this is, and who I am. So, emptiness of the self means to break away your fixated idea of who you are, of what you cannot do, and what you have to do, and try to relate your actual experiences and use that to help us learn about who I am or what I am. Okay? So don't let that invisible circle stop you. Learning about the Prajna wisdom. Be brave enough to see the emptiness of the construct we have formed about ourselves and other people. Then our eyes will be opened. We will achieve awakening. Awakening will be possible. Let us review what we talked about in this lecture. We focus on the idea of what is a self in order to understand the emptiness of a self. So every phenomena, every dharma, every object, everything we can form an idea of what that is. That is the self we refer to. And the self often is a fixated idea or construct, identification. And that fixated idea of what that person is like, what this thing is about, whether this thing is good or not good, or pretty or not pretty, or fashionable or not fashionable. That fixated idea doesn't stand up to close examination because they are neither permanent nor intrinsic nor substantial. So that's why we say emptiness of the self. And when we understand this well, will see the understanding of emptiness of dharmas is liberating in so many ways. In the following text, we'll continue to explore these insights that we can get from emptiness of dharmas. Let us conclude with a dedication. May the merits of our deeds reach every part of the world. Sentient beings, large and small, all attain enlightenment.